Hi, this is Doug.
And Brandon.
And today we're going to walk through some of the parts that we used recently to do a door panel repair on a 1969, and it should apply to a 1970 Mustang with the Deluxe interior. In my case, it's a Mach 1. Some of this might apply to the standard interior, but I don't think much will. We're going to start off by just walking through a series of the parts that I got from online parts stores to bring this panel up to date. Now, I'm also talking about the fact that it's not just purely the panel, it's some of the accessories that go on this panel. I've found this project to be more extensive than I thought because there's just so many little parts that make up this door panel properly sitting on the door and everything working right and looking right. But let's walk through the parts real quick. So here is the basically a metal bracket that goes inside the center of the door panel. This is the opposite side because I have that one installed already. In my case, this one had broken and snapped right here, so I went out and found a new one. So I replaced that. Also, there's the metal bracket that goes, that bolts to the door, and it actually goes right under this, and it keeps this nice and sturdy for when you open and close the door. For some reason, my car did not have that bracket, and it kind of causes some damage around the area where you grab the door if it's not properly bolted with that bracket. So I was happy that they sell that in the aftermarket. And the kit does come with a screw and a way to bolt the screw together. So it is a complete kit. The other thing is this, this piece is a piece, it's probably more decorative, but it's kind of a cover, and it goes behind this handle where you grab the door to open the door, where the lever is. And mine was really nasty looking, pretty old, and I found once again that they sell this in the aftermarket, so I picked up one of those. This is a black marker I got off eBay. Some guys on there that sell maybe a couple different types, but this black marker helped me, and it's really a paint. It helped me clean up the black that goes in between the chrome on the wood panel, and mine was a little scratched up, so I picked this up. These are some door clips that I picked up. Those go in the back of the door panel. They help the door panel pop in place on the upper portions of the door. Probably if you've taken yours apart, there's screws that go across the bottom that hold it real well. But I picked these up since if your car's door panel has been taken off for speakers or previous owners, you probably have none of these like I did. The next thing is around the window, where we roll up the window handle, there's a little piece that goes straight against the back of the panel, and that will go against your handle. And so I picked these up. I did not have those, and my window handle was kind of loose. So I think that's going to help resolve that a little bit. Also, my window handle is not original, so I have ordered 2 new handles and the end black piece to turn it on, the knob basically, but those are on back order, so I couldn't show you here. I'm waiting to get those. And I even went out of my way to get the original screws so that those handles would bolt on just as they should be. So really, I have pretty much the parts I need to get this all back to stock. Some were missing, some were worn out, some were broken, right? And the next thing is, and the last kind of part that sits in somewhat of the original space, is that the carpet on mine was not black looking anymore. It looked terrible. And a previous owner had cut a bunch of holes for some unusually large speakers that really shouldn't have been there, and kind of torn to the door panel. So I spent a long time looking for a solution on this, and I actually found that they sell these pre-made carpet pieces with some vinyl that you can take the chrome piece off that goes across, and you can end up installing these, staple around the back and put them on nice and tight. But you can install these and get that carpet looking brand new, and as well cover up if the carpet's torn or there's holes that you want to patch there. You can patch them right up. Again, I had really holes for 6x9s in the door, and the person before me, you couldn't even roll the window down all the way because it would hit the 6x9 as the window came down. So pretty much was a bit of a mess, but I was able to patch those up, and then I was able to use this replacement that I found online directly for 6970 Mustang Deluxe interiors, and it has worked out great. And so I'm gonna, in the video, we'll go into more detail about using this to get your panel back up to date. The other thing is that I bought a vinyl repair kit. I had some small tears around the handle area. There's at least 2 popular kits on the internet, and some people haven't had luck with them. I did. If you take your time on how to learn how to use it, this came with the tool that heats up and allows you to melt the material onto the vinyl. I'm pretty happy with the results. The tears are definitely gone. The only challenge you have is sometimes the color match. I found the color here, or the black, is a little flatter than the shininess of my panel. So that's the only issue, is a little bit of color variation, but the tears themselves are gone, and I'm very happy with that. Again, it allowed me to restore my original panel rather than having to seek out an aftermarket part. Saved me a lot of money, and as original as I can get when I can get it. That's what I'm trying to stick to. And then there's some materials I used to patch a speaker hole. I'm probably going to do a separate video that's going to talk about how to repair the panel. I figure people could use that advice on this panel, or even some other models that are similar to it, not just the Deluxe interior. But we'll do that in a separate video. So here's definitely the list that we've used. It's kind of a longer list of parts that we thought we had needed to do when we started on this project. But as always, I'm always happy to find things that we were missing by looking around at pictures on the web, and then kind of centering in that there are parts sold in the aftermarket for it, and getting our hands on it and getting everything up to date. So there's what we used to get this door panel really quite restored, and in a minute we'll go through some of these parts in detail, what we needed to do, and we'll show some more shots of the panel that we've restored.
So this is the door cup piece that goes on the door panel, and I need to warn you guys about this part. So there is this little bracket that goes underneath this little cup piece, and it goes in this little hole here. These holes match up, and it just goes underneath there, and what it does is it keeps this piece when it's in the door panel. It prevents it from moving around, and if it does move around and you don't have this piece, it can cause this metal piece to break off from the rest of this piece, and it can also cause damage to your leather on your door panel. So you can get this piece, and that will stop that problem. And then you can also get this new door cup piece, and it also fixes the problem of this breaking off here. So it's supposed to be stronger and it won't break there. So if you have this piece, it fits nice and it won't break.
Okay, when we're talking the window lever, the window handle, this is not the original one, I've come to find out, and it does not sit, the car window, it's really sloppy and loose with this one. This isn't the right color. So as I mentioned, I've ordered a new one. It's on back order at the moment. It'll come in the right length, of course, and fit in the right way. But the parts that are original that I got my hands on are, this is a backing that will go behind it. So it sits really well. I ordered that. This is the screws that I ordered that'll go to the original part when we get our hands on it. And then, of course, we'll get the appropriate lever when that finally comes in. But these are the parts that will make up the window handle and getting that all restored. And definitely, if you're using an aftermarket one, I definitely found mine was pretty sloppy, and it's also not necessarily the right length. Okay, these are the door panel clips. These are pretty simple. I bought it in a kit that should have enough for both doors. There's quite a few that go along the front and along the back, but the clips are pretty simple looking. If you can see, they should just slide down the back of your panel. Hopefully the cardboard's not too torn up. And then when you put the door panel on, you can see it's kind of a spring where it will squeeze into the door and pop into the door, and it should hold your panel nice and tight. Most of the cars probably by now don't have a single one of those left on it. People have put in stereos and other things, and whenever they cut corners, they're going to just throw the stuff away in annoyance. But if you want to get it all back, sitting on the door nice and tight like it should be, these clips are available. Okay, so here's the vinyl kit that I used. Again, this one came with a little tool that heats up, and by the way, when this tool is new, it has some oil on it. That oil is going to burn off and it's going to stink for a little bit. Just a little bit of heads up, but over time it'll go away. But then it comes with all the different colors, and of course it gives you some documentation about how to mix the colors. And then it comes with a hardener as well. And on the vinyl panels that we have versus a seat, like saying repairing the seat, I added a reasonable amount of this powder as it says to do, because you want it to be a little harder than, let's say, a soft seat. These panels, they have some flexibility to them on the vinyl, but not a lot. So I definitely added what it recommended on the amount of hardener versus, again, the seats, which are softer. And then it comes with some different grain to try and match up on your door panel to try and get things looking as original as possible. And I found one grain that matched up pretty good. So I was reasonably happy with the grain match as well and the options that came with the kit. Pretty simple kit, not that expensive. In my case, it did patch the holes. The only downside, like I said, is that the color is not quite exact, and I'll see if maybe I can do some before and after of some of the work that we did to patch the small tears that we had. I think that some people can also dye your panel. If you were a perfectionist, you might be able to re-dye the panel, and then you probably wouldn't see it at all. But I will say, though, it definitely at least fixed the tears. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little more detail on restoring this panel. And I wanted to mention that there are a couple of videos online that show you how to take these panels off a 69 or 70. So that's already covered, and I'm not going to go into that. But once you have it off and you're into this kind of restoration process, there is a stud that goes here, and I had to use a drill from the back side at an angle to drill out that stud and to be able to get this metal cut piece out. And then getting the new one in, oh, actually that's not the only thing. You got to get that stud drilled out, but you also have to remove this wood grain piece. This piece goes under this. So it sits underneath, and then this goes on top. And this is set up with just some push pins, basically. We'll show that in a minute in a separate shot. Again, you're going to drill that out, you're going to take this off, and you'll be able to take this out. But this is what it looks like restored. This is the new piece now. You know, the other piece was broken. The other thing is that I did do some vinyl repair. It was torn right here, it was torn right here, and right back here. And I was able to patch these up. The only thing I have is a little bit of a color shadow between the slightly flatter black vinyl color and my slightly shinier original vinyl. But the tears are definitely gone. And again, they ripped out because there wasn't a screw to the bracket, and there wasn't a bracket here. And grabbing this put a lot of pressure on tearing it. Also, of course, once this snaps, then it puts more pressure on the ends. Okay, now let's talk about the carpet section. And so this is the new carpet already installed on this restored panel. This obviously is to the other door, so it's in reverse. But what we did to get things taken apart is that you will remove this chrome piece, and then you're going to be able to pretty much just kind of pull the staples off and the glue off and tear the old carpet off from the door panel. And you know, hopefully you don't need any restoration at the front part of the panel like we did, where there was some speaker holes that were created, and then you would be able to just kind of put this on, pull it tight as you go around, and re-staple it back onto the door panel. In a minute I'll show a back shot of that, but again, you're just going to take this metal piece off and tear off the old piece, and then you'll start to put the new piece on. I will say too that you know, we were new at this. I've never done upholstery much, and it's not a flawless job to original that I did, but I think someone with the right knowledge can make it come out a little bit more flawless. And the reality, of course, is that our passenger side door, the next panel we do, we've learned a little bit from this one, and setting it up, that side will be slightly better. I'd say the average person isn't going to notice any of the flaws that we kind of recognize when we do this work. But you always learn a little something as you do it, and if you repeat it again, you can do a slightly better job the next time around. But I'm definitely happy with the result of these. Definitely looks far better than where we started.
And a little disclaimer about this metal piece is there's these little metal pieces that stick out that go in the back, and when you're peeling them back to try and take this metal piece out, and we'll show you what that looks like when we give a back shot, the back of this little panel, we'll show you that, but they can snap off easily, and if you snap them off, then this piece will become loose, so you have to be very careful when you're taking those metal pieces off, or else you'll have to just glue this on, or it'll be flapping around when you're driving around in this car.
Or of course, there is a replacement part for this chrome piece that I've seen online as well. You'll just end up having to order a new one. So we'll show you what the back looks like and the tabs. Okay, here's the back of the panel. These are the metal tabs, and they're very sharp, by the way, that are pressed on, that holds that wood grain and chrome section that goes just above the hand cup area. So you're gonna be bending these tabs back to be able to get that whole chrome and wood grain panel out. But before you do that, you do have to remove the horse. The little Deluxe horse that's on there takes two very small little nuts. Be very careful because, of course, these are thinly constructed. This material is pretty soft. So be real gentle, both taking the horse off and putting it back on. Be real gentle with that. But the tabs, again, try and bend the tabs as little as you can because they can snap off. I didn't have that much of a problem with it on the wood grain chrome panel, but we did have a bigger problem with the tab snapping off on the chrome that separates the carpet from the vinyl part of the panel. Okay, the other part is then, this is how we ended up stapling on the carpeting section that we bought that was pre-made. You can also clearly see that we patched in our speaker, which was a giant mess and giant hole. And I'm going to we'll do a separate short video on just purely patching these panels. But you can see that we stretched the vinyl that it comes with, the section of vinyl that it comes with, around the back and stapled it all across the bottom. This takes a little trial and error. You know, you're going to start to bolt it on, get things lined up, and start to staple it on rather. Make sure you still have that chrome piece available so you can kind of double check whether the carpet's a little too low or it's a little bit too high. We had to play with that. You'll have to do that as well. And that's part of a little bit of the mastery of this upholstery job, is to try and figure out a decent edge to the vinyl around the bottom of the door. What you can certainly do is look at some pictures online of original panels, because there's about a ½ an inch that this vinyl is supposed to show from the front side of the panel. In our case, we probably ended up with a ¼ inch, and this is where I said you kind of learn as you go. But definitely play a little bit with how much vinyl should show around the edge versus the carpet itself, and then of course trying to make sure that when the chrome piece goes on and across this, that it's going to cover this up properly and everything will sit and look right. And again, reminder, as you take these little pieces off that are for the chrome bracket, they're sharp, be careful, and again, I broke off a few of those. Those tend to be pretty sensitive. So be careful. You break off too many and you'll end up ordering a new one.